So looking back, let's say in the 70s and 80s, there was this myth that a woman secretly wants to have sex even though she says no. Why is this still a concept that people believe?
Yeah, so thanks. That's a really good question. And in the student consent trainings that I do, we often start there. We're looking all the way back in the 1970s, and this first ever consent slogan of "No means no," which came from the women's movement for that reason. And when I talk to the students about it, they're 18 and they still go, "Oh yeah, that sounds familiar." They're not going, "That's completely outlandish," which is why we still keep it in. But why is it we've progressed in so many ways since the 1970s? Why is that myth still prevalent? And essentially, it's an aspect of patriarchy. It's still there. It's still this kind of um, dominant kind of view of the power. Masculinity is all about being assertive and aggressive and chasing, and femininity is all about responding or being passive, and all these kind of myths. And one of the things in the consent education we do is really moving beyond this kind of the man, if it is heterosexual, the man needs to initiate, the woman needs to respond. And Betty Martin, who developed the Wheel of Consent, has this lovely little quote, which I always drop in at some point. She says, "You don't give consent or get consent. You arrive at consent together." And so that frames it much more of this sense of whatever your sexuality or gender, you're coming at this as equals. It's not that you each have to fit into these different roles. And the wheel of consent as a practice is very much like that, because you have, one person who's initiating and one person who's responding, and then you switch roles. And you can do it with people of any gender, but you occupy all the different quadrants, as they're called, this practice of switching roles and just noticing, oh, I find it easy to ask for what I want, but I don't find it so easy to hear what the other one wants, or the other way around. And so that's why I think the wheel of consent is such a great practice for unpicking some of these kind of cultural myths that still live on in our body and in our nervous system in many ways.